Both did a great job. Let's give them a round of applause. And Robin, thank you very much for bringing the students here from Mason City today. We're glad that all of you could join us for this important press conference. I want to welcome Representative Schickel.
Sorry I was late, Governor.
Thank you for being here, and Senator Reagan, thank you as well. I also want to publicly thank State Representative Beth Weschel-Krischel and State Representative Donovan Olson for their leadership on this important issue. Beth managed the bill, and Donovan is the chair of the Environmental Protection Committee. I also want to thank the members of the committee who voted 13-7 to move this bottle bill along. And as governor, I want to do everything I can, working with this youth leadership group, the Sierra Club, and a broad range of interest groups that are committed to environmental protection to see this bill all the way through the process. And the bottom line is we want to modernize the bottle bill, and that's why we're here. We think 30 years is too long to not make any major changes to this historic piece of legislation. And I think it's important, as the students suggested, to look at the common sense reasons why we need to modernize the bottle bill. Number one, we can all support the idea of keeping our ditches, our roads, and our landfills free of bottles and cans. I don't think anyone here of the members upstairs are against that goal. Number two, I think we all can agree that it's important to keep these rural redemption centers open. It's a great small business opportunity in rural Iowa. You're talking about jobs and employment, especially for young people. There's some full-time, but there's a lot of part-time work at these redemption centers. It also takes the pressure off the grocery stores by having an alternative to the grocery store to take back bottles and cans. Number three, we have gone from 400 redemption centers to 100 because a nickel, and the way the money is distributed now, they get 1 penny, the redemption centers get a penny, and that's just not enough to keep them in business. And we can all agree that it's important to help rural Iowa, very generally speaking. So we think that these goals are shared not only by elected officials, but most importantly by the people that we represent. The fact is, there are 330 million bottles and cans like this one that are currently not redeemable under the 1978 law. On an annual basis, 330 million of these, just in Iowa, the state of Iowa alone, are not redeemable. That doesn't make any sense. We have to modernize the bill to cover new types of containers like this one. I think the overwhelming majority of Iowans agree that we should do something about getting those 330 million bottles and cans out of the landfills and out of the ditches and off the roads and sidewalks. So how do we get there? Well, we've put together, I think, a very reasonable legislative proposal that would expand the bottle bill, modernize it. We will make sure that the customers get the same deposit back that they're getting today, 100%. So if it stays at a nickel, the consumer will get a nickel back. And so it's not that complicated. We're just simply asking that we modernize it to include at least some of the bottles and cans that currently aren't covered. In addition, I think it's important that we continue to work with legislators, grocers, retailers, redemption centers, environmental groups, conservation groups, and consumers who believe in this common sense approach to cleaning up our environment. Our coalition, and we're honored that Yield has decided to formally join our broad-based coalition of advocates for modernizing the bottle bill. We also are committed to fully funding REAP, the very successful environmental program that does great things in terms of conservation and keeping our environment in good shape. So that is not a part of this bill now, but we want to pressure the legislature to make sure before the end of the session we fund that at the very highest level possible. So with that, we'd be happy to take questions. Just a reminder that this has always been a bipartisan issue. Republican Governor Bob Ray signed it into law in 1978. Former governor and then state legislator Terry Branstad from Lake Mills, not too far away from these young folks up in the north central part of the state, he managed the bill and got it passed through the legislature, and then Governor Ray signed it. So let's try to lock arms and get together and do the right thing on this issue. Thank you.
Taylor, Jordan, and any of the other students who might feel passionate about this, do you sometimes feel as if the older generation is dirtying up the place and it's going to be up to kids your age, people your age, to clean up what's going on? This might be a step in that direction.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think that they don't realize that there's a lot of new products coming out that can't be recycled like the old ones used to be, and it would be great if we could just all work together to get the job done.
Do you really think, Taylor, that you mentioned all of the bottles you find after a sporting event? Do you actually notice a difference between the pop and the sodas? That are people taking those home with them? Do you really think, at those events, that people will actually take these bottles and put them in a recycle bin if there's a deposit?
A lot of people take them home, but there's always a lot left behind, especially in the student section, because they don't really understand the importance of it. And so usually, every once in a while, people will come by and pick them up, but a lot of the ones that can't be recycled are left behind.
Could one of you describe sort of what you found out there? Where'd you look? What'd you find? Were you along roads? Were you, tell me a little
The
about
microphone, please. Thank you.
Which one was it, the IBA? This one right here was found after a intramural basketball game, so it's obviously from the garbage. This one was at the Mason Public School. This one's from the alternative school, collection of bottles that weren't being recycled, and this one's at the alternative high school too. And then they can just be thrown on the ground too. So that's where we found them.
So you check mostly school sites, sporting events, things like that?
Yeah.
Have you noticed bottles, drinking bottles, tea bottles, water bottles other places? What you knew this was an issue, right? And you want to get involved. What was it that spurred that?
Mostly after basketball games, but also just on the ground anywhere in town. We'll find water bottles, or at the YMCA, or anywhere in town.
Why would young people make this an issue? Why is it important?
I think it's important because, like he said, we do kind of feel like the older generation is not doing a great job of cleaning up for us. But we also feel that if we get this legislation passed, that these bottles can be recycled and it can help make the world a better place.